strange light in the forest ER. Elias Reeves adjusted his microscope with practiced precision, studying the cellular structure of an unknown fungus sample. The isolation of the Meridian Research Facility had once bothered him. But after 3 years in this remote outpost, he'd grown to appreciate the solitude. Outside his laboratory window, dense forests stretched for miles, occasionally punctuated by jagged mountain peaks. The soft beep of his communicator interrupted his concentration. Dr. Reeves. Seismic sensors picked up an impact event approximately 2 kilometers west of the facility, reported Jensen, the night security officer. Probably just another meteor, but protocol requires notification. Thanks, Jensen. I'll check the readings in the morning, Elias replied, returning to his work. Hours later, as moonlight filtered through his window, Elias noticed an unusual purple glow emanating from the forest. Scientific curiosity overrode caution as he grabbed his field kit and jacket. The crash site, the forest floor was damp beneath his boots as Elias followed the pulsing light. What he discovered made him freeze in disbelief. A small vessel, unlike any human craft, half buried in disturbed earth. Its metallic surface reflected iridescent patterns that shifted like liquid. Impossible, he whispered. Approaching cautiously, a section of the craft had split open, revealing a dimly lit interior. Elias hesitated only briefly before ducking inside, his heart pounding against his ribs. The interior was surprisingly spacious, with organic-looking controls and floating holographic displays, but what captured his attention was the small figure huddled in the corner, a child-sized being with delicate purple skin and large, luminous eyes. First contact, the alien child trembled visibly, watching him with a mixture of fear and exhaustion. A viscous blue, fluid blood, perhaps trickled from a wound on her arm. "I won't hurt you," Elias said softly, knowing his words likely meant nothing to her, but hoping his tone might reassure. He slowly opened his medical kit, removing a gauze pad. The alien's eyes widened as he approached, but she didn't retreat further. When he gently pressed the gauze to her wound, she flinched but allowed the contact. Her skin felt warm, almost feverish, with a texture like smooth suede. A decision made. Elia's new protocol demanded he report this discovery immediately. Alien contact was precisely the kind of event that would bring military personnel swarming to the facility within hours. Yet something about the child's frightened expression made him hesitate. Whatever had brought her here, she was clearly vulnerable and alone. The alien suddenly reached out, her small hand touching his wrist. A jolt of sensation, not painful, but intense, shot up his arm. And with it came a clear impression. Danger, pursuit, capture, fear. Then she whispered something, not with her mouth, which remained closed, but somehow directly into his mind. Help. Elias made his decision. "Come with me," he said gently, extending his hand. After a moment's hesitation, she placed her small hand in his. Her fingers were delicate, but gripped his hand with surprising strength as they slipped away from the crash site. Elias couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change everything. Whatever or whoever had frightened this child might not be far behind. The purple glow from the vessel dimmed as they moved deeper into the forest, heading back toward the facility and an uncertain future. A hidden guest for 3 days, Elias kept the alien child hidden in his private quarters at the facility. He had converted his storage closet into a makeshift bedroom, complete with blankets and pillows stolen from the supply room. The girl whom he now thought of as his secret guest seemed to be recovering quickly from her injuries. "You need a name," Elias said as he changed the bandage on her arm. "At least something I can call you." The alien child tilted her head, her large eyes blinking slowly. Then came that strange sensation, again a gentle pressure in his mind, followed by a single word. "Lyra. Lyra," he repeated, smiling. "Is that your name?" She nodded, her purple skin catching the light in an almost pearlescent shimmer. Unexpected abilities that evening. As Elias prepared a simple meal, he accidentally knocked a glass off the counter. Before it could shatter on the floor, it froze in midair, surrounded by a faint purple glow. Lyra stood in the doorway, her small hand extended, fingers splayed with concentration. The glass floated gently back to the counter, That's incredible, Elias whispered. You can manipulate objects with your mind? Lyra approached him slowly and placed her palm against his forehead. Suddenly, Elias was flooded with images of a beautiful world with twin suns, crystalline cities, and beings like Lyra, moving objects with similar purple energy. Your home, he said softly. More images followed, larger purple beings, her parents, perhaps being taken by soldiers in sleek armor. Laboratories filled with others of her kind, connected to machines that drained the purple light from their bodies. They're harvesting your energy, Elias realized with growing horror. You escaped? Lyra nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. The warning that night, Elias was awakened by Lyra shaking his shoulder frantically. Her eyes were wide with terror, and when she touched his face, he saw a vision of ships, military vessels, approaching the planet. They're coming here? For you? He asked. The fear in her eyes was answer enough. Elias checked his terminal and discovered a priority message had been sent to all research outposts. A diplomatic vessel had reportedly been attacked, and dangerous alien fugitives might be hiding on Earth. All personnel were instructed to report any unusual sightings immediately. Diplomatic vessel, Elias scoffed. They're lying. They're the ones who took your people. Lyra's small hand squeezed his in silent agreement. Unwelcome visitors, the facility's alarm blared at 5:17 a.m., pulling Elias from a restless sleep. Through his window, he spotted 3 military shuttles landing on the facility's small airfield. They're here, he whispered to Lyra, who had already pressed herself into the farthest corner of her makeshift room. Stay hidden. Don't make a sound. Elias dressed quickly and headed to the main atrium, where he found his colleagues gathered in confusion. Director Warren stood beside a tall, imposing man in a black uniform adorned with silver insignia. This is Commander Vex, Warren announced, her voice strained. The facility is being temporarily commandeered for a special operation. Interrogation, Dr. Reeves? Commander Vex said later that morning, reviewing Elias's file on a holographic display. Xenobiology. Specializing in adaptation mechanisms. Impressive credentials. They sat alone in what had been the director's office, now converted into Vex's command center. Were you on duty during the impact event 3 nights ago? Vex asked, his gaze calculating. I was working late, Elias replied carefully. Security informed me of a probable meteor strike. And did you investigate this? Meteor. I checked the seismic readings the next morning. Nothing significant. Vex leaned forward. We have heat signature readings that suggest otherwise. Someone visited the impact site that night. Elias maintained his composure. Perhaps one of the security team. Perhaps, Vex replied, clearly unconvinced. We'll be conducting thorough searches of the entire facility. The fugitive we're seeking is dangerous, a bioweapon designed to appear harmless, even childlike. The plan that evening, Elias returned to his quarters to find them completely ransacked. His heart nearly stopped until he discovered Lyra had hidden herself inside an air duct to space, too small for the soldiers to check. We need to leave, he whispered as she climbed down. Tonight, Lyra's eyes widened with concern, but she nodded in understanding. As they prepared to escape, Ilias's terminal chimed with an incoming message. To his surprise, it was from Dr. Maya Chen, a colleague he barely knew who worked in the facility's communications division. The message was brief. I know what you're hiding. Meet me at the Eastern Storage Depot at midnight. I can help. Could be a trap, Elias muttered. Lyra touched his hand and he felt a surge of cautious optimism from her. You trust her? He asked, surprised. Lyra nodded, then placed something in his palm, a small crystal that glowed with the same purple energy as her abilities. What's this for? She smiled mysteriously and closed his fingers around the crystal. As midnight approached, Elias packed a small bag with essentials. He had no idea where they would go or how they would evade Vex's forces. But he knew one thing, with absolute certainty, he wouldn't let them take Lyra. Together. They slipped into the shadowed corridors of the facility, heading toward an uncertain rendezvous and whatever future awaited them beyond. An unexpected ally, the Eastern Storage Depot, was shrouded in darkness when Elias and Lyra arrived. Ilias's grip tightened on the crystal Lyra had given him, its faint purple glow hidden in his closed fist. "You came," a voice whispered from the shadows. Dr. Maya Chen stepped forward, her usually pristine lab coat replaced by practical dark clothing. "And you brought her." Elias positioned himself protectively in front of Lyra. "How did you know?" "Because I've seen her kind before," Maya replied, rolling up her sleeve to reveal an intricate tattoo symbol matching one Elias had noticed on Lyra's ship. "I was part of the first contact team 6 years ago." The truth unveiled Maya, led them through a maintenance tunnel that connected to an underground vehicle bay. As they moved, she explained in hushed tones, they call themselves the Lumina. They're peaceful explorers who discovered Earth 3 decades ago, but chose to observe rather than interfere. Maya's expression darkened. Until General Dominic Reed discovered their energy manipulation abilities, Commander Vex's superior, Elias realized. Yes. Reed orchestrated a diplomatic mission that was actually a capture operation. They've been harvesting Lumina energy to power a new generation of weapons. Lyra suddenly stopped walking and placed her hands on both their foreheads. Elias and Maya gasped simultaneously as vivid images flooded their minds. Lumina children separated from their parents. Their energy slowly drained until their once vibrant purple skin turned ashen gray. "They're killing them," Elias whispered, horrified. "Not just killing them," Maya said grimly. "They're weaponizing their life force. The military calls it Project Stardust, the crystal's purpose inside an old maintenance vehicle." As they sped away from the facility, Lyra gestured insistently at the crystal in Elias's hand. "What is it?" he asked. "What does it do?" Maya glanced at it. "It's a beacon. The Lumina hidden on Earth use them to find each other." Elias opened his palm, allowing the crystal's purple light to shine freely. It pulsed rhythmically, growing brighter with each beat. "She trusts you completely to have given you that," Maya said softly. "Among her people, sharing a life crystal is ... intimate. Sacred." Elias looked at Lyra, who met his gaze with a warmth that transcended language. She touched his hand gently, and he felt a wave of gratitude and something deeper, a connection that defied explanation. "There's a sanctuary," Maya continued, eyes on the dark road ahead. "A hidden colony of Lumina who escaped the initial capture. If we can get Lyra there, she'll be safe." "And the others?" Elias asked. "The ones still captive?" "The sanctuary has been gathering strength," Maya replied. "With Lyra's knowledge of the facility where they're held, there might be hope for a rescue." As the first light of dawn appeared on the horizon, Lyra suddenly tensed. She pointed urgently at the sky. 3 black aircraft appeared in the distance, moving rapidly in their direction. "They found us," Maya said, accelerating the vehicle.
"Hold on."
The military aircraft closed in rapidly, their searchlights cutting through the early morning mist. Maya swerved the vehicle off-road, plunging into the dense forest. "We'll never outrun them," Elias shouted over the roar of the engine. Lyra stood up in her seat, her small face set with determination. She raised her hands toward the pursuing aircraft, and the crystal in Elias's palm began to pulse frantically. "What is she doing?" he asked as purple energy gathered around Lyra's fingertips. "Channeling," Maya replied, awe in her voice. "But it's too much for one so young it could drain her completely." Before Elias could stop her, Lyra released a burst of energy that shot skyward like a violet comet. It split into 3 streams, each striking one of the aircraft. Instead of causing damage, the energy seemed to disable their systems. The vessels hovered uncertainly before slowly descending. Lyra collapsed back into her seat, her purple skin noticeably paler. "She's weakened herself," Maya said grimly. "We need to reach the sanctuary quickly." The hidden valley hours later. They approached a mist-shrouded valley nestled between towering mountains. Maya drove into what appeared to be solid, Raqqa holographic disguise that concealed the entrance to a vast cavern. Inside, Elias gasped at the sight that greeted them. The cavern opened into an enormous underground space illuminated by the same purple light that Lyra emanated. Crystalline structures rose from the ground, forming dwellings and communal spaces. Dozens of Lumina moved throughout the sanctuary, some flying with the aid of their energy manipulation. others tending to gardens of bioluminescent plants. "Welcome to Haven," Maya said softly. Two adult Lumina approached their vehicle. When they spotted Lyra, their expressions transformed from caution to joy. They embraced her, communicating in that silent, telepathic way. "Are they her parents?" Elias asked hopefully. Maya shook her head. "Her parents are still captive. These are the sanctuary's guardians." The decision in the days that followed, Elias watched Lyra regain her strength, surrounded by her own kind. The connection between them remained. She would often seek him out, sharing images of her day or simply sitting quietly beside him. On the seventh day, the sanctuary's council summoned Elias and Maya, the eldest Lumina. Her skin, a deep royal purple etched with luminescent patterns, addressed them telepathically. "We have decided to rescue our people," the thought voice reverberated in their minds. "With the knowledge Lyra has brought us of the facility's defenses, we believe we can succeed. But we will need help from within." Maya stepped forward. "I'll go. I still have clearance codes." Elias hesitated only briefly before adding, "I'll go too. Later." As they prepared for the dangerous mission, Lyra found Elias alone. She placed her hands on either side of his face, and he was flooded with emotions, concern, gratitude, and something unmistakably tender. "I'll be careful," he promised. "We'll free your people." She smiled and pressed her forehead to his Illumina gesture of deep connection. The crystal he still carried pulsed in harmony with her own life force. A new beginning, the rescue mission succeeded beyond their expectations. Using Lumina energy disruptors and Maya's inside knowledge, they infiltrated the military facility and freed 37 captive Lumina, including Lyra's parents. Commander Vex was arrested when evidence of the illegal operation was transmitted to civilian authorities. General Reed went into hiding, but his power base was shattered. 1 month later, Elias stood with Lyra and her parents at the entrance to the sanctuary. The adult Lumina communicated their gratitude, then stepped away to give Elias and Lyra a moment alone. "Will you stay?" Elias asked, though he already knew the answer. She belonged with her people, especially now that her family was restored. Lyra touched his hand, and he saw images of himself returning often. Of a bridge between their peoples, of a future where humans and Lumina might one day live openly as allies. "I'd like that," he said softly. She pressed the crystal into his palm once more, closing his fingers around it. Through their connection, he understood. As long as he carried it, she would always be able to find him. As the sun set over the hidden valley, Elias watched Lyra walk away with her family, her small form illuminated by the gentle purple glow that was her birthright. He knew this wasn't an ending, but the beginning of something extraordinary, a connection that transcended worlds. A friendship that had saved not just one child, but opened the door to healing between two species. The crystal pulsed warmly in his hand, a promise of return.